Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cup of Three. My name is Ashley. I am joined, as always, by my friend and co-host Mabel and fiance and co-host Agu. How you guys doing?
Hello.
Pretty good.
If this is your first time joining us, we are a podcast covering reality shows on love and relationships. Right now, we are covering Married at First Sight Season 12. Today, we will be talking about Episode 9, 3 Little Words, where the couples are getting to the point where they're not so subtly prompted to say I love you to each other if they are ready through the cue cards that are dropped off at their apartments. I love how they do this. It's just like, this is about the stage where we need new content. Can you guys please have the love conversation? That's my favorite. Okay, so let's just start with the big bomb of the episode, which was Chris and Paige.
Let him go, Paige. Let him go. Please. Stop. I don't want to watch them anymore. Can we get them off the show? Like, what do we have to do? I'm tired of them. I'm tired.
You did see Paige was so done. She walked out and she was like, I cannot with you anymore. And then the producer was like, can you actually go back and keep talking to him? Like, let's see if there's some more to salvage. I'm like, no, please.
Well, to be fair to the producer, they're like, you could tell him not to call you again. And somehow she went back to say that. And then it went into like, hi, I'm Paige. Let's restart. Restart to what? You never had a good moment.
I honestly didn't understand where that came from because everything we saw leading up to that was like she was ready to go. She was fine with it. She was like, you're wasting my time. I'm not about this. And so I really don't know if there was a part of the conversation that we missed, if there is some other thing happening. It doesn't make any sense to me. It really does not.
And the thing is, she even knows it because she's telling Pastor Dwight, like, you know what? This is entering fool me twice territory. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on... Like, thank you. You're getting it. So you know this is a joke and you should not be doing this anymore. What is this?
I mean, Chris called them together because he wanted to complain about her meeting his friend. And it turned into, let's get back together. How? How did that conversation...
Well, we discussed a theory about this so what I think may have happened is that the meeting that Chris set up between Mercedes and Paige was, and I talked about this last time, that he was like trying to get Mercedes to not see Paige as a threat so that she would be cool with moving on with him in a relationship with their little family and everything. And then this comes out that Mercedes is not trying to be with him and that she's not keen on that idea. And so now Chris is like, oh, maybe I should have kept my options open. So it feels like he's now kind of backpedaling and being like, maybe I should make this thing with Paige work. So he's just waffling back and forth. And also, I don't know if this is shitty to say, but it seems like he has a very high sex drive and like both of his options are now gone.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
He waited 4 days and he was like, like he literally during our conversation, he's like, you know, I'm sorry that I put you through this. You shouldn't have to be someone's option. He's ratting on himself. Like that's the only reason they're having this conversation. He's like, all right. I mean, you're a good backup option. Like, Paige, please. He's not. What is I don't understand. I don't understand what she sees in him that keeps bringing her back.
I don't know. Like I think I've seen this in some girls that just go back just because, like, hey, the sex was good. He's cute. He, has money, and like, not that she wants his money, but like it's someone to have by her side as some sort of potential security. And I think like she, and even what did she say when she was talking? I think it was in the one-on-one, like with the camera of like, I just really wanted my marriage to work. I didn't want this to happen. And she is kind of alluding to like she wishes it could still be salvaged. And I was like, salvaged? I'm just like, this is when you need to realize that being single is sometimes okay.
And it's better than being in a bad relationship.
Exactly.
I think she just doesn't want to be divorced. And any little sign of hope that she doesn't have to be divorced, because she's the one that has a lot of divorce in her. I mean, a lot of the people on this season have a lot of divorce in their family, and that's like a thing that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it makes you feel a different type of way about marriage. Like, I can relate. My parents are divorced, and I have evolved my thinking about marriage quite a bit over my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I could understand that if she feels like maybe there's any glint of a shimmer of light somewhere, that maybe they can make it work, and maybe this is just like a bad start and they can somehow reset and it'll be okay, that like maybe that bait is a little tempting when you're feeling
Mm-hmm.
like kind of just down about the idea of like having to start over with someone new. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I could get that. I think I'd rather just focus on like, Chris, what are you doing, kind of a thing, because he's just being so, like, again, just the waffling thing. Like, he can't make up
Right.
his mind about what he wants. Like, just leave everyone alone and figure out your own crap.
Yeah.
And the way that Paige keeps talking about it, she keeps talking about this hope of like, hey, maybe it'll get better, and like maybe I've been looking at it the wrong way this whole time. First of all, no, you haven't. And
Don't gaslight yourself.
exactly, exactly. Well, and then so I was trying to like
Played
think of the
yourself.
analogy as I was like preparing, but like, so think of like a car, right? Think of a straightforward Chevy, right? Like, if you're looking for a Cadillac, you can never turn a Chevy into a Cadillac. Like, it will, like, and this is where Chris is right now. He is not to put a ding on Chevy, but he is like subpar at best.
I mean, Chevys are garbage anyway. Like, you're not wrong.
Dang, I
Like,
wasn't trying to hate.
I mean, they're not gonna sponsor us. It's the truth. Like, don't drive a Chevy.
Maybe
What do
they
you do?
want to. We'll take their money.
Do you like not like the person listening to this? Do you just not want a car that works in 5 years? Is that why you buy a Chevy? Like, there's no reason.
No.
Get a Toyota, get a Honda, like the rest of people who know what they're doing, and just move on. Like, don't buy just because it's American. It's garbage. Don't lie to yourself.
No, but
We
that's
know.
a good analogy though, because it's like, if it's not really about like where you're going but being in the right car, that's one
Yeah.
thing. If it's about where you're going, then it doesn't matter what the car is. If it's about going the distance, that's a different type of car. If you just want to get around the corner, hey, that's a whole different kind of car.
It works. And 1997 works.
It's I'm really Ashley, you like when you mention, it's very weird to say your name. Okay, but it's you mentioning that she doesn't want the divorce in her like early scenes. Didn't she say like she wants to break the curse of divorce or something
That's right.
like that? Like,
That's right.
I really do. I think you have a point there where like she is viewing this as, I gotta do whatever I gotta do to make this work. And that is, again, the right mentality to have for this experiment. The problem is Chris is trash. Like, that's the
Exactly.
problem. So it's like, I don't know. So there's that. But then the other part is, throughout the season, I just felt really bad for Paige. I was like, this is unfair. You've been put in a situation that you don't deserve to be in. You know, I was angry at the show. I was angry at Chris. I was angry at everybody. And at this point, this is on you. Like, you know, I hate to say this, but why do you, like, he is giving you every out at this point. Like, this is on you now. Like, and it's funny, like they show that scene of them restarting, and then the previews is him saying the exact same line. I don't think my heart is in this. He's literally running the same play. Like, it's not even, he's not changing things up. Like, it's the same play over and over again. He keeps on scoring. Maybe you should like change your defense or something here. It's just, it's very unfortunate. And the last thing, because I feel like I'm just ranting on them, but Chris's pastor friend is the reason why I don't get involved in people's relationships. Like, this is the exact reason why. Like, he basically was like, hey, Paige, even though Chris is my friend, I feel bad about what's happening. And he was like empathizing with her. Now that they're back together again, he's the bad guy. Like, just stay out of people's business. Just stay Eric, Virginia, stay out of people's business. Like, just leave people alone. Because when they get back together, now you're the asshole. Now you're the bad guy. So it's so unfortunate. And that killed me.
The thing though with them, I totally get Eric should stay out of their business because he's like no one to them. Like, this is someone they just met, a stranger. But the pastor is one of his best friends. Like, what do you want me to lie to your face? Like, no, a good friend is going to tell you the truth and is going to be there. And, you know, hey, you may not want to hear it, but like, you know, I'm here for you, not here to make you feel good kind of thing. It's like, I'm actually going to say what I feel. And that kind of pissed me off because now that he was honest and not just, you know, making you sound good and saying pretty things about you, you don't want to talk to him again. Like, actually, that's your loss, Chris, because that sounds like a really good friend.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder though if like Dwight even wants to be his friend after seeing all of this.
Yeah, because he threw him under the bus. If we're being honest,
he didn't pull any punch. Like, that was it. Yeah.
It's funny. Chris was reacting real time when the episode was going on. Like, I don't know who shared this, but you could like see him like writing all this stuff about. I thought, like, basically saying that like the pastor was trying to pair Paige with another one of his friends. I'm like, maybe the pastor's like, hey, Chris is garbage. Here's another person who's better for you. I'm okay with that.
For a split second, it crossed my mind, like, maybe pastor's like, you know what, actually, can I replace you? Like,
I mean, he's married, I think.
No, but... not like a friend way. Like,
oh, okay.
Paige is a better person to have as in your friends, like, friend circle than Chris.
I mean, at least she enunciates her words and doesn't just mumble constantly. I'm hating on Chris too much, but just stop, man. Go away.
There's nothing good to say about Chris.
Go away.
I have a hard time with the thing about kind of blaming Paige because honestly, I don't know how to look at it fairly because I feel like there's something to be said for like someone knowing that something needs to happen, but they're not willing to completely jump and do it at a certain time. There has to be the timing that works for them. Like, I'm just thinking like on looking back at different decisions I've made where like I knew that something was a problem and I didn't fix it until later, or I didn't address it until later, or I put it off. I just wasn't ready to do it. Like, from things as little as like getting an oil change all the way to like starting therapy, you know what I mean? And so I wonder if this is something that Paige is experiencing where she knows logically that Chris is a bad match for her, all of this stuff, but maybe she's not completely ready yet to come to terms with like, I'm in a relationship that will end in a divorce and this is not going to be my forever person. This isn't going to be the man that God wants me to be with, whatever. And so I'm trying, I don't know. Cause I just feel gross being like, Paige deserves this now or something, because I think Chris is really manipulative and in the situation that she's in, she's kind of vulnerable to that. But also like, I get she sees it and like sees what's going on and everything. It's just like, I don't know. I just feel really weird about it.
Yeah. That totally makes sense.
But he's not like, he's manipulative the way like our dogs are like, oh, I didn't get a snack. When like you clearly gave them a snack. Like, we can, like, it's on that, like, he's going to, this is, from what we've seen, he's behaving the way, unfortunately, we expect him to behave. So that's why, like, I don't want to take the blame away from him. Like, I initially thought, what was it, like episode 1 or episode 2, that like he was going to get back with his ex. Like, the moment he said, oh, she's not attractive, and then we kind of heard the rumblings that this other person had a child, I fully understand trying to make it work with my ex-fiance, mother of my child, as he uses his title. Like, I get that, and I was okay with that, and that's why I hated the fact that everyone, the pastor, his pastor friend, and people on the show were trying to force him to stay in a relationship that he himself didn't want to be in. But at this point, he has made it abundantly clear
I agree.
how he feels. Like, yes, he is waffling. Yes, he isn't. Like, he's no saint. But I think, like, no one wants to be the bad guy in their own story. So he is going to tell himself whatever he needs to tell himself to, like, be okay. And he's got multiple excuses and whatever. Fine. That's good for you, man. Do what you want to do. But the way that she was talking to all the other participants of the experiment and how, like, you know, the relationship is no longer it's
no
not
longer
for
serving
me.
me.
No longer serving. That sounds like something a therapist said to her.
100%.
Sure. To, like, go from that to then trying to, like, she's not even being consistent with herself at this point.
Yes, which I understand, and again, I think that we're missing part of the puzzle there. I'm just saying, I don't know about you guys, but I've been in past relationships where I saw red flags and I still waited. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, I don't know.
I mean, I think we've all been there where it's like we have to find our strength to actually follow through with what we know we should do, right? Because, like, we've all been in a situation where we probably know we shouldn't be in, and we're just kind of waiting around to see maybe it'll change. And I think this is where she's in right now.
Yeah.
I think also, though, we're seeing though that she has to build up strength, and I don't think she really has that backbone and self-worth for herself to be able to be like, all right, I know this is not for me, therefore I'm holding to what I said before, and this is done. And I think she's still finding that.
Yeah. And I think she'll find it by the end of the season. I'm not really worried about that, but all I'm trying to say is I think at this point she isn't completely ready to make that decision yet, because the minute that the decision wasn't made for her, then she was back in, you know.
But, like, there's a lot
Who
of people
disagrees.
No, I understand. I get it. I think it's just, like, I think I get why, like, the optics of me blaming her is not great, or giving her
that's not what I'm
responsibility.
commenting on.
No, it's
Like,
not like saying.
Oh, I know. I know. I know that's not what you're saying. But, like, I get that, like, the easy thing to do is, like, you know, she's to treat her as if she's being abused in this situation. Like, I get, and then we've seen comments of people say, like, I think she's being abused and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if that's the case, blah, blah, blah. We're not there. But it just, like, there has to be some, like, I don't think she's this damsel in distress that everyone keeps on thinking. I think she's a badass person who has, like, she's accomplished quite a bit in her life. She has shown time and time again that she is very smart and able to process the situation. So when a person who I view as smart and intelligent is making decisions that are not that, that's where I go, okay, you're acting out of fear. And I think that's why I'm so, like, it feels like she's acting out of fear of being labeled a divorcee than making the right logical decision for herself. Yeah. And that I have a hard time respecting. Like, if you know it's wrong and you know that it's time for it to end, like, yes, you're right, we've all been there, but these weren't marriages, I'm assuming. These weren't
We're gonna have a pastor friend come on the show and actually
Ashley's
was
been
engaged
50 times.
How's that even possible? You just do an engagement every week or something?
The girl's been busy.
But yeah, I really wish her, like, come on, after this show, so many people are gonna be in those DMs now. Like,
for sure. But it's hard. It's probably hard to imagine that when you're in it. Just the same way when, like, you know, you're going to see a breakup coming soon. You're just like, you can't even imagine dating again, because it's just like everything sucks.
And even, like, I think there is some element of embarrassment there too. It's like, oh, I gotta tell everybody we broke up, and then I gotta explain why we broke up, and then they're gonna tell me we shouldn't have broken up, and then, you know, it's like, and then in this, I think though there is some element of shame there where she's like, oh, I don't want to be labeled as a divorcee. Well, you know what, girl, like, it's not the end of the world.
Hey,
it's not the worst thing.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Like, yeah. Like, if he wanted to make it work, I'd be totally fine. But like we know he wants to make it work for like the night, and then we'll tomorrow morning wake up and be like,
see.
You ugly. I don't know. I don't like this.
Okay, wow.
He can't sit still, which I get. I have that problem as well. But he's just like...
He does it to the degree of like... I saw this video of like a guy who was basically doing a parody of his toddler, how they eat when they're watching TV. So he like takes a bite and then he's like leaning over the coffee table and then he like does a somersault on the couch and is upside down, then like gets another bite, like runs out, comes back. And I'm like, that is exactly how Chris just has a conversation with people. Like he's sitting back, he's slumping, he's adjusting, he's got his hands all over his face. I'm like, this is COVID times. You cannot be touching your face like that.
True. No lies were told. Yeah. Also, like, I like defend the guys typically on our recordings, and you're so crappy. I was able to defend Zach, okay, for multiple episodes. And Chris, you're so crappy. I can't even do that. Like, I can't. I want to be on your side.
I think you're overestimating how successfully you defended Zach during that
Wow.
time. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Let's move on over to Virginia and Eric. So some stuff happened with them, but I want to start with the fact that Eric was out of town for work for a couple days. And while he was gone, apparently Virginia didn't feel like she was getting enough text updates as she would have wished for. I want to know what you guys think about that irony.
Oh, that was just so immature. Like, she was annoyed she wasn't getting enough attention, and then she's upset now he's gonna be gone. I'm like, you were gone for your friend's wedding and you didn't want to text him. Like, how childish.
I'm more disappointed in him. Like, if you know that this is your thing, that you want to get every 2 hours a message, like, you can't, like, you have to do that as well, you know? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
you got to lead by example, especially since he likes to say, I've done this marriage thing before, I know.
Oh my gosh, that's his line.
And he's looking for someone who can handle his career. He's always putting it on. He's always phrasing it that way, which really bothers me. It's like, well, it's just a factor. It's not like, can you handle me in my big career? It's like, well, it's a partially long distance relationship. That's a factor. I just loved so much how they both failed to put themselves in the other's position both times. So like, while Virginia's at home just kind of chilling and like, you know, working and coming home, she was clearly like a little lonely, drinking maybe, a little lonely and missed him and, you know, like wanted those updates and stuff because she was in their place. And when he was home, he was like lonely and wanted to see how she was doing and worried that she's out with her friends and having a good time and he's out there flying around. And like, they both were just, the irony of that was so beautiful to me. I was like, thank you both for being oblivious to how the other might feel when you have felt the exact same way. Man, congratulations.
I've been very cynical this podcast so far. I gotta be nicer.
You know, I'm leaning into it too. This is not good. This is very off brand for us.
It was a long day at work today. You know what? Chris has great guitar skills. I think that
Eric?
Sorry, Eric?
I was like, I missed that scene.
So sorry. I'm sorry, people listening to this. Chris cannot play guitar. Let's get that out the way. But yeah, Eric I think that was pretty impressive. Yeah. Did I mispronounce his name again? Oh, okay. Yeah, that was good. He had the lights on. That was interesting. He was trying to serenade.
He had club lights on.
He was trying. Even the dinner, like, he's like, I want to do a special dinner or a date for her and everything.
He was ready to risk it all. Yeah, I mean...
Can you risk it all for your wife? Is that how that works?
I mean, he was about to say, I love you. She could have said no, or, I don't know, been awkward about it, said thank you, worst of all.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that you feel that way.
And that was pretty cute. So, like, I think, like, it seemed from Virginia's face, that's all she needed to hear. Because she's leading up with, like, so many nerves, and she's just stressed out about everything they're talking about. And then she's like, oh, okay, it's all great.
I also think like when they had the little cards that were dropped off that prompted them to talk about love, one of the things that definitely threw up some red flags for Virginia was that he described love as basically what he felt with his ex-wife and has since compared all his relationships and the feelings that he has in them to that as a judge of like if it's good or not or if it is love or not. What do you think about that idea, that comparison?
Um, for that conversation, it kind of made sense that he compared love to his ex-wife because he seems to be comparing everything to his previous marriage, and just like he has
Tell
answers.
him.
Shots
Like,
everywhere.
that's just I don't know. One of all, first of all, it's arrogant. Secondly, it's like dangerous. That love out of that previous marriage developed, authentically, I'm guessing, where it's like, hey, you don't know where it's going, you're leaning into it, you're trying, you're giving your all. You can't expect everything to be what your 6-year marriage was after 2 weeks of this new marriage. And it kind of seems like that, and that frustrated me a little bit because it's like not even giving it a chance in a way to let it grow out the first time. And then the other thing too is I'm starting to realize that her responses sometimes annoy me. She would just say, "Oh, I'm like that makes me very anxious and that gives me a lot of anxiety." But like she just keeps repeating that and never explains it. She like has no way of relaying to him what part of that gave her anxiety, why it gave her anxiety, and it's like you're giving him nothing to go off of.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get that it's a difficult thing to answer. That question, like I think, if most of us were in that situation, like the answer would be probably not as well thought out as we would like. It's probably gonna be like, when I think about you more than I think about myself, like that might be what Vincent
That's what
said.
someone said, I think.
Yeah, like that type of answer where it's just like a nothing answer. Um, I weirdly like what was this? I think it was the scene where it's Pastor Cal and Ryan, where like it Pastor Cal like summarized it perfectly. I feel like everyone should just play that clip where he's like, it's a decision and you're deciding to be with this person. You're deciding to like it's not you don't fall into it. You're choosing to do that, and um and like I think that's I actually honestly before the show and I don't know if I even fully understood the concept of love. I feel like it was just like it felt like stuff you would say in like rom-coms and stuff like that. Like it's just like if you care about someone deeply, like that's kind of it. Like I don't know what the difference is between that and love really. Um so yeah, I say that to say I think he was also kind of having a difficult time answering that, and like clearly he loved his wife, his previous wife, for them to have been together for that long, and so I think he was trying to say that, but then of course then it sounds awful, like you said, it sounds like you're comparing everything to that, and then weirdly he goes, no, I'm not comparing everything to that. It's like that's exactly what you said. Like you're contradicting yourself. But yeah, I get it. Yeah. Ashley, what do you think?
I just feel like, I mean, how we've talked about this, how Pastor Cal talks about it being a decision and an action, that love is a verb, and it's all of the little things that add up into that whole concept. I think it's really unfair for him a little bit. It seems like he just hasn't really like explored that very much, to be like the way I felt with my ex-wife. Like you're talking about 6 years of an accumulation of feelings and experiences and growth and actions, like millions of little actions of love as the verb, and then comparing that feeling to how you feel with someone who you've maybe gone on a couple of dates with, or hung out with for a little bit or been friends with for a little while. Like, you haven't built that yet. And so it seems super naive to me to be like, well, like, according to that standard, everything will fail because you're expecting it to, you know, in the beginning, feel what it's going to feel like after the accumulation of all of that. Like, that's just never going to work. It's like, well, I'm never going to invest because I don't have $6 million yet. Well, it's like, well, yeah, if you never invest, there's no possibility for you to have $6 million this way. So, like, good luck. So I agree what you're saying, Mabel, about like Virginia being like, oh, that makes me anxious. Like, for one, I think that's good that she can at least verbalize that like, oh, this is how I'm feeling. But like, she really doesn't go into it that much. It's just like, I'm uncomfortable. It's like she's throwing out her little like alarms are blaring, like, get me out of this situation. I hate it. Make it okay. And she talks about running a lot and like kind of being quick to leave a relationship if she feels uncomfortable. And I think this is a very good exercise for her. And like, it's okay to be uncomfortable. Like, your life is not being threatened. Just sit in it for a minute. Let's see what happens.
Which it might be okay, like, or it might be enough, I should say, eventually for her to say, hey, I'm anxious, and he'll pick it up. But like, right now, he still needs to learn what that means.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a great way of saying it. Yeah, it's too early for him to know what that means at this point.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely.
Can I ask you two, how did you two know you were in love?
I'm gonna let you start with that, Agu.
Oh, no, that's fine. Just put me in the situation.
If you don't want to include this, that's totally fine.
That's okay.
No, it's fine. So I think it's the... Watch me stumble and try to think of... I think it was the... It was clear because it didn't feel like work, us being together. It just felt like it felt like my default, if that makes any sense. Like other situations, you're like, oh, I'm in this for just a little bit now, it will be okay. And I think typically I'm like one of those people who will like grind out situations and like, oh, I hate this, but I'll be fine. I'll bear and grin it for another week or another year or something crazy like that. And with us, it was like, oh no, this feels really nice. And I'm like happy that I get to experience all these different things with you. And it felt more like a partnership than I think I've ever had in any of my previous relationships, where sometimes it felt like I was like the Eric of the situation, where it's like, like a weird, like, it felt unequal. And then other times it felt like a chore. And with our relationship at that point, now, but when we said that, like, I think it became very clear to me that it was just a really, really great situation. And I didn't get like the butterflies or anything like that, but it was more of the it's kind of like when you kind of stop and like there's just like still and everything is just calm, and then looking around and being like, oh, this is like really good, this is a really good situation. And so that was, I don't know if that made any sense, but that was like my thought process. And that's how I knew. But yeah, I'll let...
That was really nice. Yeah, for me, there was like a very particular weekend that we had together where we went to, there's this like apple orchard that's not too far away from here. It was like fall, and we had just spent the whole day like doing all those activities, and we got donuts, and we call it basic weekend because it's like, you know, like the white girls with PSL and a, you know, plaid shirt and the whatever boots on and stuff. So we do that every year this past year.
We're basic every year.
That's great.
The only year we weren't able to do it was this past year because of COVID. Thanks a lot, COVID. But yeah, we were just like outside all day and like just doing all these different things, and it just felt, yeah, similarly, I just felt like I could be myself and I didn't have to like, I don't know, like hide different parts of myself that I have in past relationships. And I just, I don't know, it just felt like I was like teaming up with someone who is like just making life better in all the ways. And like, I think we're very opposite in a lot of ways. And I saw all those things as like all these ways that we complement each other and the way that we can make each other better. And like this, like just really, really cool team that can do a lot of like cool stuff in life. And I don't know, it just kind of came over me. I was like, it's time. I'm just going to tell him. And then like, I told you first, and then he said the next morning he was planning on telling me himself. So like
I legit was like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna like do this big, like I was gonna make it special, and in the morning, and we're having breakfast, and she stole it from me, but it's fine.
I didn't mean to.
That's adorable.
That's what it is. Can't have anything. Gosh. So during our basic weekend, that one, there was this couple. I'm sure, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but there was this couple. It was husband, wife, and they had like a little baby, and they were all dressed in the same outfit. It was flannel shirt, some blue jeans, and some Tims, and like all of them had that, and like the baby had like little baby Tims with him, and baby jeans and baby flannel, and I was just like, goals out here, man, goals, like cheesy but goals. Like, it's that's, I always remember that too. I remember baby Tims and the cute moment. But yeah,
can I sidetrack us with one last little story? Yeah. the minute or the time that I knew that I wanted to marry a goo, which was, and this was like very early when we were dating too, but I was taking the year to like just kind of build up things, different projects and things that would like basically look good on a resume and help me like career wise. And one of the things I signed up for and was very nervous about, but was really putting myself out there for, was to speak at a conference. And so I was like kind of on the fence about it, and I hadn't really talked to anyone about it. And I just like signed up and did it and was like, all right, this is going to happen. And I told him about it, and I was like, just so you know, I'm going to be gone this night. Like, could you maybe like watch the dog or something for me? And he was just like, no, like, when is it? I want to come. And it was all the way in Ann Arbor. Like, it was on a weeknight. It was like a weird day. And he was just like, no, I want to be there. And we drove out there together, and like he helped me like prepare my speech. Like I had it all like memorized, and he was giving me all this feedback. And like he was, the whole time that I was like up there on that stage, I just kept looking at him, and he was just like looking at me and like nodding along and like clapping and like whatever when he was supposed to, and like just being so goddamn supportive. Like I had to be like in the green room for a while, and like he was networking with people, and I was just like, I've never had anyone, and all my past experiences of like partners and even like family have just been like, okay, cool, see you later, like have fun, like you're on your own. And he was just immediately like, no, I'm here for it. And like after that night I was like, yeah, this is my guy.
Oh, that was really early. Wow. So I should have like stepped up a while ago. I had no idea. Okay.
You did.
But that was a great speech. It was really good.
Oh,
it was really fun. Very like,
I'll stop
it
being
was
sentimental now. I'm just got distracted.
Mabel, you messed up. That's now everyone. No one's gonna listen.
This is on Mabel somehow.
No, we need some positive stories. We're talking too much about the drama in Married at First Sight.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Okay, what were we talking about again? Virginia and Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
Did we have anything else to talk about them? I don't think I have.
I don't have anything else.
We talked about the guitar, him playing the guitar.
They're gonna end up together, and they're gonna be gross together.
I don't know.
It seems like it.
I just think they're gonna be like a little, like, I don't think awkward's the right way to put it, but just like they have this like mismatch of communication that's like, it's gonna take them a lot, I think, to overcome. I think they're still gonna end up together. I think it's just like,
yeah, they have to figure it
They
out.
do. They also do balance. I get what the experts are trying to do. They do kind of balance each other out in different ways quite a bit. And yeah. Also,
I think
she's
they have
26.
a lot to... Yeah, I think they just have a lot to learn from each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move over to Brianna and Vincent. So I think the first thing that we see with them really is them like having the little card and talking about love and what that feels like. And they're both just like hinting around it, dancing around it. And then all of a sudden, Brianna throws it out there. And did you catch Vincent's reaction when she said that? He was like it was the cutest thing. He was like so taken off guard and was just like, you could tell he was just so happy about it. And then he said it back too. I just thought it was the cutest scene. I liked it.
It was very cute. And like, is that before he brought out the bike and all that stuff?
I think so. At least that's how they showed it from what I remember.
That was an adorable scene. I'm like, oh, these are a bunch of weird words here. Like, also, great idea. Like, a way to learn a new language. It's like, words of the day. And then it was like, bicycle. It's like, oh, that's kind of random. That doesn't really connect with all the... And he comes out with the bicycle and like, it mentioned that he had ordered a basket for Cookie.
Yeah. That was cute. I was impressed by like how much he listened. Like, this was the first day they met, and he was able to retain that to say, hey, I'm gonna get her a bike and I'm gonna incorporate this cute way for Spanish. I'm like, all right, look at you getting the points for listening.
It is very cute. Yeah. And she even brought that up in like her one-on-one thing where she was just like, I just love how he listens. Like, that's something I had completely missed. That's something they had talked about on their wedding night. And like, that's an overwhelming day. Like, how are you going to remember that? And here he comes with his bicicleta for her. Like, oh my God. So cute. And he like changed the seat out and put on the little glittery things on the spokes. Like that was really cute. I liked it a lot.
It was. I mean, dang, he is very like just genuine. Like, he does have his downsides with, I'm sure we'll get to that later, with just handling embarrassment. But like, in his like, you just get this feeling that he is a very, very good spirit, a good spirited individual. Like, just I am, in the beginning, I was very hesitant. Like, it felt like he was saying all the right things and I didn't trust it. But like, the more and more we watch them together and just his scenes, I'm like, no, he's just like legit a really nice, caring person, and he feels like he found his person, and she feels like she found hers. And like, this isn't Woody and Amani level. I don't want to compare them to that, but it's getting there. Like, it's a really solid relationship that they have, and it's very nice. We need that, like you said, after all the crap we got with Chris and Paige. Like, we need some just good, wholesome love.
Just some love.
The L word.
Lasagna.
Well, and I think, and I said this since the beginning, his biggest hang up is perception. Like, he cannot get over that. Just he's got to make sure to say the right things and come off. I'm just like, dude, just chill out. No one really cares that much. But for them to just be so into each other is so cute. Like, he's blushing the whole time they're having the conversation, and he's like saying, I love you. I'm just like, aww. It's like,
blushes so much. It's so cute. How you got melanin and blush? Like, I feel like I say this every episode. It's severe. Like, I just haven't seen that before. Like, I know some pretty light-skinned people. They don't blush. Like, what's going on here? It's just,
everybody's different.
Yeah.
Because there's even like just white people I know who don't blush. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I can see through to your organs. How can I not see blushing?
Transparent.
I can see through your organ. Oh no.
All right, what else with them? Oh, so then she surprises him by taking him to a dance class. So she's all dressed up, she's looking cute, she's got her high heels on, she's got a pedicure, like, she's killing it. And they're going to learn salsa. And Vincent is a little more familiar with bachata. And so he was learning this from scratch, just like she was, right? And she threw in a comment there that she used to dance. So I don't know in what context, but obviously she like has some background in like being able to pick up new dances, whatever. So he got a little frustrated during the dance, like trying to figure out the steps and everything. It can be overwhelming. Mabel, especially you as somebody I know you like have taken a lot of dance classes, have been in this situation a lot. Like what was your take on all of that?
Even before like he got embarrassed about the salsa dancing, I was assuming like most people are not like perfectionists, right? Like there are things you can improve, and there are always moments you're probably going to mess up. I really was thinking that, hey, he's probably going to lean into, his Dominicanness and be like, hey, I'm having fun. We're listening to some great music. I'm here with a Cuban instructor. We have this like Hispanic culture vibe going. I thought he was just going to like have fun with it. Like it's the atmosphere that makes it more fun. And he's just like all about his skill and ability. I'm like, it's not really about that right now. Like you're at a lesson with your wife, and it is only you two. There is not a stage right now. No one cares. Just have fun with it. And most of the time, that helps your dancing when you're not stressed about it. Which, some people, it's alcohol. For some people, it's not having a crowd. And for others, it's having like a supportive person there. But just like, there are moments when you're going to mess up. Just let it go. It's fine. Just lean into it, have fun, smile, and it'll be a great time, even if you do mess up.
Yeah. Just like have fun with it. Like no one's expecting you to be great at this. Every time I dance, I'm garbage. I'm black, but got no rhythm. It's a problem.
You shit on yourself so much. You are.
My family gives me crap on this all the time. It is what it is. But have fun with it. Like you can't tell me nothing. I'm out there just hit the Dougie. Like just have fun with it. And it was a cool moment with them, and he got embarrassed. And Mabel, like I think the way you summed it up is spot on. Like it seems like he cannot stand the idea of not looking perfect around his partner. I think that seems to be the issue. And maybe part of that is like he thinks that she is like the best, so he wants to also show the best side of him. But it's concerning to see, because like at this age, I feel like you should have the skills to deal with that embarrassment more than he's showing. And I get it, like you're on camera. It seemed like he was a little hot and sweaty, so like there's a little bit of shame there. And he's not even the first person on the show to like be mad at a dancing class.
It's always salsa.
Amber and Dave. It was also salsa, man.
That was the funniest.
I think we identified the problem. It's salsa dancing.
And like the instructor was throwing out some like a little bit of shade with his comments. Like I think he was trying to be playful with it, but he was like, yes, left, that is the foot I told you to use. Like it was a little bit of a, we got to go outside, like we got to deal with this like men or something. But I did quotation marks.
Are you channeling your inner Chris?
Oh.
Deal with it like men. Approach me like a man.
Approach me like
no.
Gosh, we got a lot of great sayings from this season. We got Vincent saying, "I don't like to be disrespected," like he's freaking Al Capone or something out here. But yeah, I don't like, because it feels like she has to like tiptoe on eggshells every time he's embarrassed, and I don't like that either. Like, I don't like that. It's unfortunate.
I think I feel like there's a lot of layers to what's happening, because I can relate to like being in a dance class with a dance you're unfamiliar with, if you're just kind of like a little nervous about it or whatever. Like dancing is something you have to be completely present for. You have to be in the moment. You cannot be thinking about something else. You cannot be whatever, especially when there's like certain steps you got to do. If you're just in the club, like sure, do whatever you got to do, but like with something like salsa, it's kind of technical in that way, like all the turns and like especially, and like I've taken a few classes like way back in the day where I felt way more comfortable like learning the steps as an individual person, not like with a partner, and it's a group of people versus when you suddenly have to be with a partner and then you're like mirroring each other. Like it gets very confusing and like takes a little bit to like understand the patterns, and like once you understand the patterns and you get like the muscle memory, then it becomes very simple. But I think it's like part of that, and I think it's also, I think he has all this pressure on himself because he's already talked about liking dancing. He like obviously is very proud to be Dominican, and like I think he might like just be too hard on himself that like this is some sort of representation of like him as a like person, and like how Dominican he is, of like can he dance well enough and like all this kind of thing. And like then being around Brianna, who again is just like super hot and like doing a great job. Like that would be really intimidating.
Go marry her then. Gosh.
She's my backup. Just kidding.
Gosh.
And also you're like being filmed and very aware that like your family's gonna watch this, your friends are gonna watch this. This is like out in the world, like that's a hell of a lot of pressure, especially when you've kind of talked about that being your thing. And it's not fair because it's that he's, you know, bachata is very different from salsa. I think like it's a very different like step structure from like my limited understanding of it. So I just think I can understand why he would be overwhelmed. Also, like I'm also that way where if I get too hot, like game over, like I need a break. And just like cannot deal with it. Agu's nodding. He's like, yeah.
That's true.
But I also think that with that, he can develop some skills in like communicating that to her, like learning to be more present. So like you can try to lighten it up and be like, it's all right, I'm just gonna have fun with it, kind of a thing. But like that takes a while to learn, and I can like totally relate to that because like that has been me. Like it can be very scary kind of a thing, but I don't think he handled it particularly well with her. And I also felt like she was, Agu and I were talking about this when we watched the episode, it felt like she was kind of like playing dumb, like she didn't really know like why are you upset and kind of thing. She just kind of kept pushing, and I wish that she had kind of backed off and been like, cool, let's just like go get some food, or let's go like somewhere with air conditioning apparently, or you know, and then talk about it later. Like it doesn't have to be a big deal.
She did the thing that my mom used to do when I had to like hang out with family, and like as a little kid I just was not having a fun time, and none of the kids are. My mom's like, so we're having fun, right? We're all having fun, yes? And it's like, no, I want to go home and watch cartoons. Why am I still here? They smell like cheese. I don't like it here. And like it's
what you get for hanging out with white kids. Self-burn.
So yeah, I just
Me too.
it feels like it's something that he can improve on. So hopefully he uses this as, you know, this isn't, I know sometimes people go, oh, it's just the way I am. Like, no, you can, this is something, like you're a business person, you're going to be constantly put in situations that you're not familiar with. And this is a great skill to work and develop. And I really hope that's what happens, because besides that, like we said, he is the best. Like he's so caring. He's so attentive. His friends, you can tell, like they really, really appreciate him. And that's probably why, like he's such a good-hearted person. So don't let you not like spilling champagne on yourself should not be a whole 2-hour ordeal about leaving the house, and you know, or if you are upset, at least be able to vocalize that, hey, I need a little bit of time. Instead, he does this like pouty thing where he doesn't say anything. It's just
I think it could be like both of their defaults. Like he seems to be like, hey, you gotta guess what I'm thinking. Yeah. I found that disrespectful. I'm assuming you're supposed to know that. And she is super direct and like, hey, you have to tell me exactly, walk me through what's the problem, and I'm gonna pretend I don't know and I can't figure it out myself. And I don't know, I'm wondering like if, because we've seen both of them lean into what the other person kind of needs. So he's spoken up a little more and she's kind of tried to pick up a little more with being less direct. But I think like they maybe jumped back into their default right there, and like he didn't speak and she needed directness.
Yeah. Are you mad? Yes, I'm mad.
Yeah. He's mad. Give him some space. Yeah. And also it's okay to be mad and like let, you know, give them time to cool down. Like,
right.
And
like
that's
he was
the thing
the whole time. Right.
Yeah, like he was clearly just overwhelmed, and I just, I was like, Brianna, you know what's happening. Like, I know you're a smart lady. You can see what's happening. Like, just, we don't need to problem solve as this is happening.
Right.
Like, tension is high. Let's not do this right now, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, just the added pressure of the cameras and stuff too. It was just like, oh, I wish this would have been. I mean, it's a good learning opportunity, you know? We'll just say that.
No, ding against Vincent, but can we put like the clip of, I don't know who the guy is, but like from the Breakfast Club, put respect on my name?
Birdman. Put some respect on my name.
Oh my God.
Birdman.
So let's talk about Clara and Brian. So they had their little crafting date where they went and made their mugs. My favorite shot was Ryan making his all perfect and leveling it and standing up to squint at it. And then we get a quick shot over to Clara, the self-proclaimed crafter. And Homegirl has got the lumpiest, bumpiest looking cup I have ever seen in my life. With some sort of deformed snake as the handle that was going to fly off in that kiln. Like, what are...
Oh my God.
Like, we had, like, has everyone here made them, like, have to do that in elementary school, or like you have to craft, like that's what my cups look like in second and third grade. And then like you bring it home and your parents have to pretend to use it for a week.
This is great.
This is really
great.
Good. Really good.
Oh, I should bring this to work with me so other people show. Yeah, I'll do that.
We'll do that right away. This will be a good pencil holder. Yeah. So one of the things that they started talking about briefly was, it seems like they've already kind of agreed that they're going to live in his house, because I think she's in an apartment or something. So after this whole thing.
Yeah.
And so she was talking about her crafting supplies and how that's like crafting is her kind of stress release and all this kind of thing. And that he kind of was thinking that her craft supplies could go in the garage. And that was something that concerned her, that she was a little worried about, like, why wouldn't this be in the house with all the other important things, because crafting is so important to her. So like, what do you think?
I don't know, like part of me wanted to think that was a joke, like you're kidding, right? Like weights are gonna go in the house, but the crafting stuff is gonna go in the garage.
But this man uses his weights a lot more than she uses her crafting supplies, clearly. Like, we saw her crafting.
Sweat, like in the kitchen when I'm about to, you know, make some rice and chicken.
Like, he's working out 2 hours a day. She's like, from what we saw of her skills, she's crafting once every 2 years or something. Like, I don't know. No, you're right. Yeah, it is a bit unfair to say that, for sure.
I don't know if
but
that's
then again,
unfair.
I guess it shouldn't. I don't know. She did take it a little serious. She's like, "Oh, you don't think my stuff's important?" Which, okay, you can kind of maybe argue that, but like, I think we've seen plenty of times before where she can come back and like she has that like. She's not afraid to respond and like stand her ground and say what she believes. So like, I was kind of expecting her to do that, to be like, yeah, okay, I'm really gonna put him in the living room. I don't know, throw space out there.
I mean, she was fighting over her donuts, though. If she was like, at that scene, the editors did her dirty with that. Like, it was just like her, like, scene after scene, like, oh, blah, blah. And like, they look delicious, but like, editors, like, let her live her life. It was funny.
She was living her best life. She was happy.
And they like cut to him. I'm like, I don't think he was looking as judgy as you're making. Like, he brought her to a donut shop. what do you think was gonna happen? Like, I don't know, but I don't know. Ashley had, I think you were a little bit, you had different feelings on this scene. I will back off here.
With what scene?
With the donut scene. Like, you just thought that he wasn't handling it the best.
I don't know. The donut scene was weird to me because they cut it so strangely. It seemed like they were just trying to be like, Clara likes donuts. Isn't that hilarious? Like, the kind of... I don't know why donuts are such a theme. Do you guys remember, what season was that? Like 7 with Tristan and Mia, and it was like big shameful thing that she liked donuts. And like, I just think it's weird to have a storyline around like women liking sweets, and that's like a bad shameful thing. It's like anyways.
It was the Dallas. He wore like a donut.
Little underpants with the donuts on it, and then he brought her a box of donuts. And it was...
He has long black and brown hair.
Really uncomfortable.
Tristan
and Mia.
That was so awkward.
I just don't like this, what they're insinuating there very much. And like, they cut it so much where it was just like, he was talking about his, like, what makes you motivated kind of a thing. It seemed like he wanted to have this whole conversation. Again, the way they cut it made it seem like he was droning on, and she was just like shoving her face full of donuts, which I don't think is what happened. It was funny to watch because that's like a super cut I'm here for. But also, like, I have no idea what that conversation actually was. And then she like made some snarky comment about like, didn't know I signed up for a seminar or something, as if he like lured her there with donuts and, you know, to sit there and have him like, you know, tell her how to live her life. So I just like... I don't know what to take away from that other than kind of a positive thing about Ryan, that he's very self-reflective about like his it's clear he's thought a lot about these things of like why he does the things he does, like why it's important and why he structures his life so rigidly in some ways, and why that seems to be important to him. And that may be the like a potential red flag from his perspective, is that Clara is very much the opposite of that, of like, she seems to prioritize more like living in the moment and being a little bit more free, and you know, those are both fine ends of the spectrum to be on, but like, as long as we're not judging the other and meeting in the middle where it counts, like that's fine. So I don't know.
The thing I like thought during that, so the way she made it seem like she loved the donuts. She was like her whole face was lighting up as she was eating those donuts. Like, she was loving it.
Some bomb donuts.
And she's just like in her world, like eating donuts and having a good time and tasting all the different flavors and just taking a bite and putting it down. Like, to me, that kind of gave him the impression of like, I'm going to be stereotypical here a little bit, but like taking a guy to like a football game to be like, cool, this is something he really loves to do, and he totally wants to be in the moment, like having fun, watching, being there. Don't talk to him about like, I don't know, what do you envision your house looking like, stuff like that. And that's kind of the impression I got from Ryan, being like, hey, I am giving you this opportunity, or I'm giving you something you like, donuts. Let's talk about something I like, future motivation, etc. And wait a second, like, she's not here. Like, she is in Donut World in her head right now.
I want to be in Donut World.
Your analogy is hilarious. So it's like he's watching football, and then there's a touchdown. He's like, yeah! And she's like, what's your 5-year plan? Like, that's essentially what so it's like the other way around. She like has a bite and just like, oh, this is so good. He's like, so what's your investment thesis? Like, it's like, I don't know. Let me eat my donut.
So growth oriented.
Yeah.
Were you saying that her eyes glazed over and she didn't hear a thing
yes!
she said?
Oh my gosh,
goodness. Don't encourage her. What is that? No. No.
Just getting started.
And a crispy conversation.
But at the same time, though, I mean, it seems like he heard what she was saying about like her love language being the acts of service thing. That meant a lot to her. So that was a good thing.
So I kind of mentioned this being a concern, and you last pod, as the kids say, and you kind of mentioning it is now as well. I'm a little concerned that I think there's the risk of not seeming intelligent if you're very light, and like it's some people perceive that as not being intelligent. Well, I don't perceive her that way. I perceive her as basically similar to my perspective generally of like all of this is important, but if you don't have fun and during the moments, what's the point? And I think that's what she's trying to echo. And but the way that she's doing it, so like him asking and that motivation question, the way she answered, I know she was doing that in a snarky way, but being like, yeah, I'm motivated to go to work because it pays my bills. Like that's like that makes you seem kind of shallow and just not deep, you know? And I also like I probably would have thrown out a snarky answer like that too if somebody was trying to ask me questions in between a delicious donut. So I'm worried as each episode goes by. I get more and more worried that this might be their dynamic. I guess just overall, I really hope that he doesn't perceive her as being shallow and like I think she's a very intelligent person. Just the way she expresses that is a little different than the way he does. And yeah, so I'm just, if they don't work out for other reasons, fine. But I'm really hoping that that isn't the reason because, just because she doesn't want to like sit down and go, all right, here's my 9-year plan, doesn't mean that she doesn't have the ability to do that,
Right.
So,
Or be considering those things in her own way.
Yeah. Exactly. And she probably has a different way of showing it. I had this in a previous relationship of mine where I was like judged on his scale of success and knowledge basically. And and the way you're explaining Ryan right now, I can kind of see that. Like he has taken a lot of time to think about who he wants to be, how he wants to live, where he like wants his life to, play out. And he is expecting that and pushing that onto Clara to be like, oh,
Right.
that means you should also be at this point in your life because
Right.
I've spent time doing it and that's what we're supposed to be doing. And it's like, good for you, but you don't need to push that onto somebody else.
And we saw this in Brett too, where he was like all about paying off that house and like saving money and budgeting and doing all the things. And like it is a balance between that and enjoying life that you have to find for yourself. And yeah, I think they'll get there. I worry about them kind of meeting in the middle because it does seem a little bit like they're sort of dancing around stuff a lot in the scenes that we see of them. And like they do seem to be more private, so maybe like the good stuff's happening like off camera, which is fine and great. Like do whatever you got to do to be comfortable. But we'll see how it plays out. I don't know. Well, let's wrap up with Haley and Jacob. So we had this little like security cam footage or whatever it was about Jacob like straight up asking Haley if she's attracted to him. And she kind of pauses and just kind of says, I don't know. And he comes around the little counter and is just like, okay, hurt. Well, it was actually to me like watching that footage instead of just hearing them talk about it later. I was like, that's hopeful because that actually felt like a level set where they were both being just like really honest with each other. Right. And so he was like, well, I guess if that's, I don't know if we're going to be able to make this work if that's not there. And he wasn't saying it to me, it didn't seem like he was saying it in a mean way or a way that like put it on her or anything, but it was just kind of a, let's look at it for what it is kind of a thing. So now it feels like they're trying to figure out if that's something that is able to grow, that they're willing to put in the time to make grow and give a shot or not. And then they follow up with the whole thing about her buying him a bunch of clothes and having a fashion show.
That's a bit I recommended them doing that. The timing is unfortunate though. You just said he's not attractive and then you're like
it's a little bit much. So what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
I mean, if you really looked at them, she wasn't into him this whole time. And maybe, he just needed it told to his
Yeah.
face to be like, hey, yeah, I'm not super attracted to you right now. But he's kind of trying to force it a little bit too, which is a little frustrating. I
Mhm.
mean, this is, I don't know how many times now of him saying, oh, well, if the love is not there and da 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 da, like, this might not work out. And it's just like, slow down. You've only known each other less than 3 weeks, and
Mhm.
you're developing in this marriage, even though it's still a marriage. Like, but you're still trying to get to know each other, and he just like wants to get to the finish line and wants there to be love and wants them to be perfect. And him kind of pushing and drilling this in and again, it's like you're making it worse. I got the impression from that in his head he's replayed a million times. So in his head it feels like a lot longer. He's overthinking it, and there's been time to soak through it and come
Mhm.
come through the other side kind of thing, right? But you need to realize, like, Jacob, that in this situation not that much time has elapsed. It's been a night. And I think that was a good thing that she went over to Paige to debrief, because she was like, hey, I don't know what they talked about. We don't know what they said, but like a little bit of a reset for her to go talk to somebody else about it, come back, buy
Mhm.
the shirts, try to give a little bit more. And then here we are again with like the conversation of, you don't find me attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a few different things that I'm noticing with them. The first is we kind of, again, we talked about this with Greg and Deanna, where one person taking it slow, you kind of have to be very patient and very. Um, it's funny, he mentioned like, oh, I'm not one of those people to like buy flowers and things like that, and I could like see her like die inside, because like that's what she needs. She needs someone to be overly attentive, overly expressive about how they feel. Um, but I also empathize with him. I don't, it's funny. I'm going to defend Chris now because, I finally have an excuse to do so. But when Chris said that he didn't find her Paige attractive, maybe not don't have sex with that person and then tell them that the next morning. But there were a bunch of people who were watching the show who were mad. Like, how dare you, Chris? You're not good looking yourself. You look like a turtle or whatever. And
Dang.
um,
Yeah.
it was a
Well, harsh.
specific comment I saw that said turtle. I was like, this, I'm not going to forget this. This is really specific. Um, but I think this season we've had three different people basically say, three different couples say that they're not necessarily attracted to the other person. And I think that is probably going to be a very common thing in this experiment. If you're just, there's no, it's hard for them to gauge that, what the other person's going to find attractive, blah, blah, blah. So I think for him, it's very hurtful. And I think that's what he's trying to express. Like, he feels hurt by that. And um, so to empathize with him, there's that. But then their conversation where she came back after the fashion show and he was upset that they weren't able to talk more and that she left. Like, that's on him, like it seemed like he had this whole conversation in his head that they never had. And it's like, why didn't you tell me this is how you feel? Because I know you're going to say this. No, tell me first. Let me actually react. Don't tell me how I'm going to react. And I empathize with her in that situation. I think it feels like she's trying to let the love grow, let the attraction grow, and every time they are in that process, they get into one of these fights that it's just like it's not it's I could see that turning people off. Like, it's a dumb fight to have. He's not, if that's, you wanted to spend the evening with her talking about that, let her know. you know don't get
Mhm.
mad the next day. Um so I still think that like they're both great people. I think he is for being in this situation, I think a lot of people would not be able to. He's great at expressing himself, and I don't know if everyone else on the show would be able to do that. Just when he decides to express himself is the problem. You know, he's like waiting a day later. If you could kind of do that in the moment, that'd be great. But that's kind of my overall thoughts on them.
I think we're seeing a kind of classic example of two people who are expecting the other to read their mind and also are assuming that the other person like knows what they're thinking and then bases all their actions on that. So like if his whole thing about like she went to go hang out with Paige for a while and he thought that she would come back and so they could talk about whatever, and then he said something like, well, I sent you a text that would give you an in to be like, oh, this with this and I'm like, no, that's not, you can't hold her to that standard because that's not fair. If you're going to send her a vague text and expect her to behave a certain way and read between the lines, like, you're not, what's the point of that? Like, she's not going to know. Like, you have to be so clear. You can be clear and explicit and very open about things and still be respectful and nice and whatever. Like, it, that could, you can't expect other people to read your mind. And that's something, a lesson I have learned the hard way time and time again. And, you know, I think that's a constant skill to be like, kind of put yourself out there and just be like, this is what I need, or this is what I'm asking of you, and this is whatever. Because then if you're being explicitly clear and someone says no, then it's like, well, okay, we got to get ready for plan B then. Like, that could be really hard. I don't know. I just feel like they're not being honest with each other in the moment. And so then they're having all these catch-up conversations later about like, well, when you did this, it made me feel this way, so I acted this way, and then you didn't read this thing, and so and I mean, hey, is someone coming from a family where like literally every interaction you have to read between the lines and try to figure out what someone wants of you or thinks of you? It's exhausting. Like, it's literally that has been one of the best things I've learned from therapy, of just like take people at their word of what they're saying, and if they get upset with you for not reading between the lines, that's on them. That is completely on them. Like, that's it.
And a text message of all things. Like,
I know. Like,
what are we in high school? Really? I'm supposed to be trying to read. Like this is high school.
Got there. What's that mean?
Like right? Like, we've all had the like, you're like trying to decode the text message. Like, right. Does she actually like me? I don't know. This smiley face. What does this mean? Yeah, I don't know. Also, like, maybe it's editing, but it feels like he's always talking about his house, and his house is cool. It's well thought. He did a good job with it. He did a good job with it.
He made it
not
his
my
own.
style.
I'm not even believing your own words right now.
I was trying to be nice. It's not my style. It seems like a lovely house.
Nice pool. We'll say that.
Nice pool. The gym was substantial. You know, you got the guy that you could beat up. I think to kind of go back to what we're actually talking about, I think he just seems like a person who, he hasn't said this yet, but I think he's one of those people who needs touch. Like, he's a handsy, touchy-feely, like huggy type of person, and she is not. And I think that is the biggest issue that they have now, is like, because those first 2 days when she was doing that, she was kind of, as we now know, she was fighting. She wasn't acting the way she would normally act. She was like, all right, I gotta do this. I gotta hold hands with him and do PDA. And now that she's behaving more the way that she's accustomed to behaving, which is not like that, I think he's having a very, very hard time with that. And again, I totally understand. I totally get it. I'm a huggy, feely person as well. And I get how that would make you question a lot of the stuff in a relationship if you're accustomed to that type of relationship and you're not getting it. I just think the way that he's going about it is he's like, at this point, he's actively turning her away. He's like pushing her away with these fights. So if the goal is you want to be closer to her, we got to work on how you express your discomfort in the situation. Like, it has to be a less antagonistic way of doing that. And I don't think it's not fair that he has to be the one to do this, but if you want to make it work, it's not about who's right or wrong. Like, you're gonna have to bend a little bit. So I don't think they're making it. That's
not looking good.
That's a 0. 0 out of 5 for me.
You still think nobody's gonna stay together?
Maybe Vincent and Brianna.
Oh, oh boy. All right. Well.
So 1 out of 5.
I mean, I just hope they, like, so Paige and Chris, I don't think need the reset. I think they'd be done. I think Jacob and Haley could better benefit from the reset. Just like, hey, wipe the slate clean. We said what we said. We've done what we've done. Just move forward. Because, like, I mean, I think they just misread each other and take it too seriously.
For sure. I agree.
Yeah. Just sometimes the way he, like, I don't think he thinks he's being antagonistic, but it's just like, well, you haven't been in a relationship in 7 years. Like, it's like, there's a way you could say that where it doesn't feel like you're putting me down for that.
I think the thing is that he talks about facts and she talks about feelings. So he's doing the very procedural, like, this is what happened, this is what I thought would happen, and this is what actually happened, and then throws in a little bit of feeling about it, and she's just basically like, I'm uncomfortable, I don't feel comfortable at all, and this is new for me, and I'm overwhelmed. And he's just like, according to my logs, this is the time that you came home. Like, it's just like they're missing each other completely. They are in different planes of existence. So I agree. Exactly. I think a reset for them, and honestly, just a lot of guidance. I think this is a great place for the experts to hop in and be like, yo, here's what's happening. Yeah. You guys you're not doing it wrong. This is just, you're doing it for the first time. So here's what we're going to adjust, and we'll try it, and baby steps.
Mm-hmm. And it may be the pandemic, but like, normally aren't the experts a little more involved? I mean, having more conversations with them?
I don't know what's going on with that. They don't
show
it or
my
what?
theory is that they are, but it's like Zoom calls, right? So it's probably not as great. Like, they're probably not showing as much of it because that's hard. It's not great TV to have like one person sitting, another one Zoom, and so I'm hoping that they are interacting with them, because Paige sounds like every time she talks, I'm like, you definitely talked to multiple therapists, so like she's talking to somebody. But yeah, Pastor Cow.
No, Pastor
probably. We got multiple pastors on the show. I can't. We do. The one with the Jerry curl. That's what you need to do. That's all you need to say. I got it. I am okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts? Anything else?
I like how much Ryan and Claire are doing their fun crafts. I hope more of the couple are doing that. Just like, have fun, be active however you can. Pandemic, I get it. Just try to be creative, but do something. We're just seeing a lot of people just sitting around doing nothing. Like, fun.
We are. You're right. It's like, we're going to sit around this pool in the guy's backyard. We're going to sit around this donut. We're going to sit around. Yeah, you're totally right. It's a lot of sitting.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us for this recap of episode 9. Join us next week as we cover episode 10. You can catch this episode on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Please go follow us on Instagram at Cup of 3 Podcast. And yeah, please, send us a message, comment, whatever. Let us know what you're thinking about this season. There's a lot. So we want to hear from you guys too. All right. See you guys Until next time, goodbye.
See ya.
If you're Chris, reach out. We want to talk to you. We want to hear your side.
We don't want to talk to Chris.